Jyoti was outraged when this legal protest was making its way through the streets of downtown Calgary, escorted by police. And the Beltline protesters literally illegally blocked the road, refused to comply with police officers, and the police were forced to clear them. She wasn't happy about that because that was the police actually doing their job. She wants the police being used as a militant arm of enforcement for her ideologies, and she's not getting that right now.
Yeah, she wants them used as Antifa security guards. That's basically what she's asked for here. And just to give a little context, the mayor of Calgary, Jyoti Gunn, she has brought a little bit of Ottawa police enforcement to Cowtown. This last-minute court order that they received on Friday, I think at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, before this weekly Saturday protest that Adam points out has always been peaceful. I've been down there before Adam came on board. I was down there almost every week. They pray before it starts, they feed the homeless, and then they head out onto the streets. They cut a lap and then come back. That's it. And the left in Calgary...
The walk is an hour. There's 1 hour where they're walking through.
Yeah, and the left in Calgary has decided that this should not be allowed for some reason, I guess just based on political reasons. And so the mayor said, yep, it's got to stop. But she also realized, I can't direct the police to be my political enforcers. However, I will write a letter to the police commission and ask them to enforce, I guess, her political censorship on these peaceful protesters. The Calgary Police Chief, Mark Neufeld, more than happy to comply, held a press conference saying, how exactly are we going to find a way to limit the peaceful free expression of these people? He literally said, how do we limit their Section 2 charter rights? We're going to have to think about that. And then the city of Calgary got creative with that last minute court order. They realized, okay, we can't tell the police what to do. So let's go get a piece of paper from a judge that tells the police what to do. And that's exactly what they did. And sneakily, learning a lesson from the Alberta government and Alberta Health Services, they did this thing ex parte, which means they didn't include or inform the other side so that the other side could show up and say, no, this is a peaceful protest. There's no reason to limit it. You can put up with us for an hour a week. They did this ex parte, which I mean, they know who's leading the protest. They know who's involved in the protest. They do police surveillance down there and facial recognition on the people who are in the protest. So they know who they could have served with a notice to appear before a judge and argue against this court order. They just didn't do it because they wanted a very specific outcome that would result in arrest. And at the end of the day, it did. So maybe we have that clip from K2, but I'll get Adam's comments first. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's wild to see. And we've seen this before. During the height of COVID, there was no protests to be allowed. And then there was a number of pro-Palestinian protests. And suddenly they changed the rules to accommodate those protests, which comparatively, as much as those protests were generally peaceful, that was more driving through the streets, illegally stunting, sitting on top of vehicles. Like there was a ton of traffic infractions associated with that, but they went out of their way to ensure that that could take place because that's something they align with ideologically. This, however, is not something they align with ideologically. So they're willing to go out of their way. They're willing to fundamentally undermine policing to manage this. And it was so wild watching Mark Neufeld. It was interesting to see him for once filled with even like a little tiny bit of trepidation. I don't know if you remember the comments where he's like, well, if we don't go after the freedom people, they call us Nazis. If we go after them, they call us, like, you could tell he was kind of like, why did I get into this? Like he almost for the first time was like, well, I don't want to be overtly political. I just want to be like subtly punishing people. Jyoti really thrust him into the spotlight of not being able to deny that he is a political activist, or is at least being used as a political activist. And these people professing, and we'll get to this clip as well, but acting as if they don't know what is going on. I mean, if it's true, they're utterly inept. And if it isn't true, then they're active political agents. So they're either idiots or they're active political agents. And I'm referring specifically to questions about the charges and why there was no arrest for David Pawlowski. We'll get to this eventually, though. But whether it's Jason Kenney alleging that Pastor Arthur incited violence, or this officer implying that he doesn't understand the charges against these prominent figures, well, I mean, if that's the case, you're not doing your job properly, or you're lying overtly, and you're an activist and you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, let's go to K2's first one about when they push the people out of the public park where they're safely gathering, peacefully gathering. The cops move in and try to, I guess, purge them from the park and pile them up on the sidewalk for some reason. And that court order basically says you can't be on the sidewalk. So as I watched this, I was like, I see what they're doing here. They're trying to create a situation where they can start issuing tickets and arresting people.
Oh, hey guys, thanks for watching. That's a clip from our Rebel News daily live stream where we talk about the news of the day in an unscripted and interactive way. It's co-hosted at noon Eastern or 10 Mountain Standard Time by me on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And on Wednesdays and Fridays, we've got rotating co-hosting happening from some of our other on-air talent. So good news, there's something for everybody. We broadcast on YouTube. But if you want the full uncensored version, you're going to have to find us on Rumble, Super U, and Odyssey. And be sure to sign up for our rebelnews.com emails so that you never miss us when we go live.